Good morning. Welcome to the Meltdown. Folks, I want to take a perspective and explain why rare coins are supposed to be part of a portfolio. And in doing so, I do want you to understand that we are a for-profit business. In other words, I really provide a podcast not only to educate you, but because pretty much anything that you can find in the marketplace will make a market in. Now, if you've got an interest in buying, selling, or trading, I hope you'll call the store. That's 281 548 2646, 281 548 COIN. Hit option 0, that way you don't get caught in the phone system. Also, you can visit themeltdown.com. If you go to the resource page, there's other links to other articles and other companies so that we can help educate you, get a clear, concise, and logical direction with what you've got to work with, whether you're spending $10, $1,000, or $100 million. It's time to do things different because the writing is really on the wall. It's just a question of how you interpret it and who you're talking to. Most companies have a motive for the information that they share. Now, I can tell you point blank that I have had positions in different areas of the market because those were the positions that I liked the coins, where there's a limited number of items available. And of course, anybody who understands anything about finance or economics understands that if you can create more demand than there is supply, the commodity tends to appreciate. I can tell you about 6 weeks ago, the price of gold went under $1,200. And since then, we've seen gold trading as high as $1,278. And so the move is about 6 percentage points. And for those of you that are tied up in the CD market or you're in annuities, everyone's looking for the return on their investment. ROI is what we most commonly refer to it as. And so diversification, if you will, is something that you get involved in so that you don't lose your backside when markets retreat or pull back. Now, in the news has been Bitcoin, where we've seen Bitcoin trade for over 1,000 per coin per share, down to the level where we've seen it as low as $600. It's in a low trading range right now. And the markets overall are waiting to hear from Janet Yellen to see what Yellen's really going to do moving forward. Now, I can tell you point blank that when I look at the future and I consider that Janet Yellen has been an advocate of quantitative easing and the tapering that has gone on is not working to the advantage of the government, it's not working out to the advantage of the Fed, that the thought is back on the table that we're going to end up dealing with a resurrection of quantitative easing at a level that's 85 billion plus. Our monetary policy is horrible. And consult, something I talk about excessively, is really an important issue. Now, I'm going to pick on Mark Zuckerberg for a moment, and I understand that the Zuckerbergs gave about $1 billion last year in philanthropic effort. The top 5, quote, Americans donated about $2 billion. That's aside from the Zuckerbergs. One of the things that Mark Zuckerberg did upon the pre-IPO of Facebook was consulted with Bill Gates about how to make an impact with the wealth that was about to happen. So consulting is a smart move. Being able to look through the motives of those that are on the other end of the phone with you, that's paramount. Now, I love watching certain movies, and there is always a greed factor because that's the way humans were created. We are greedy by nature. This is an area that when I look at the big piece of the puzzle and I look at how big your pie is, I definitely want to be in there, and I definitely want to suggest that you move 5 to 20% of your net worth. Now, folks, the numbers change based on your objectives and the levels of the market. Uh, Last night, about 6 o'clock, I was watching the overseas markets in gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and of course, the price of oil. West Texas Intermediate was over $100. This morning when I woke up, it was under 100. Well, right now it's back over 100. And driving between Humble and Beaumont yesterday, I was seeing $3.02, 307, 310. Price of regular unleaded is rising. And don't miss the boat. Fill up your gas tank when you can under $3. I know we all got excited at $2.50, but it didn't stay there. And that's my problem, because there are so many of us that are caught in the quote upper lower class to the middle class, and we're being squeezed because the wealthy get wealthier. Quantitative easing will boost the stock market into the 17 or 18,000 range, and I am convinced that Janet Yellen is going to pull and push those buttons and force, quote, the wealthy to get wealthier. I find it interesting that over in China, that wealthy Chinese are starting to figure out that it's time to move their money and move away from, quote, being in a position of paying the high taxes. Now, there are lawsuits and arrests, and there's all kinds of little glitches around Bitcoin. It's under siege. They are forcing down value. That's what happens. The wealthy get wealthier. And let's face it, if you've been in Bitcoin long enough, you should have taken the profit. Even if it was only 25 to 50% of what you made, quote, trading in Bitcoin the last few years. There's never a problem taking a profit and reinvesting the numbers and moving them around. Now, I can't ever tell you where the bottom is any more than I can tell you where the top is. I do believe that you take your 20 to 40% out of the center. Don't be greedy, take profits. You never go broke taking a profit. That's pretty simple. In the late 80s, first part of the 1990s, I was selling modern issue coins, and that was before the two major grading services really began grading them. Well, with the advent of the collector market, when state quarters started being produced in 1999, more people are investing and moving more money around into certified material. New coins, I discovered, weren't the all-knowing, all-telling profit center for the collector community. They were, quote, a scapegoat to be able to load people up till their axles broke with modern coins in mint state 69 or 70 proof coins as well. And I'm going to take another shot at that market, and I want you to understand why. There are certain coins in the modern market that make a lot of sense. I love the 1995 W, the West Point Proof Silver American Eagle. The value between an NGC coin that's graded perfect, Proof 70, and a PCGS coin graded Proof 70 is about a five-fold difference. And ultimately, the difference is the quantity of coins that have been third-party graded by NGC and PCGS. New coins aren't produced, and they are now protected and encapsulated at the mints all over the world. We don't drop coins, we don't drop precious metal coins into bags the way we did back in the 1900s, say from the 40s, 50s back. We have mint sets and proof sets, and there are coins that are struck with cameos, which is the contrast in the field over the device. So on a Franklin half dollar, Ben Franklin is frosty, but in a proof coin, the field, the background of the coin, the planchet, when it's polished, comes up with contrast and it's black, called a cameo. And Ben Franklin stands out on a black background. Ultra cameos, deep cameos. That's the difference between the NGC and the PCGS designation. But we don't drop half dollars in tubes, in bags the way we did back when Franklin half dollars were produced, or Walking Liberty halves or any other type of coin. That's the way the US Mint functioned. And so today's high-grade rare coin is because a collector put it back. They were building a collection. Today's modern issue coins, and there's plenty of people who make their living advertising and working on a low number. That's why they can work on a tight margin and sell tens of millions of dollars worth of this material. Good credit lines, unload millions of coins, get high grades, and you're successful. My concern, and I've got a couple of emails that I'm going to poke at. I got an email that talked specifically about an Australian, the new 2014 Australian Silver Eagle is how it's entitled. Well, it's an American accent when you read down this page to get to quote the high relief that is being created on these coins. And a proof silver American Eagle is a $60 coin, okay? I can sell them at that point and still make a little bit of profit. But I'm reading an email that's talking about Silver Eagles made from Australia, and I don't really care about the mintage figures. I didn't even pull that part of this email up. But from $99 for the 1 ounce Silver Eagle to the 69 graded coin that'll sell between $149 and $169 depending on the quantity of coins. And if you want, you can get into the Proof 70 coin, and you'll spend between $179 and $199. The marketing companies are submitting hundreds of coins to capture the grades. And my point in telling you this is that it's from that standpoint that perfect coins are supposed to grade perfect because the world mints, whether it's the Perth Mint, the Royal Canadian Mint, the United States Mint, they encapsulate and protect the coins when they're struck. Subsequently, you're going to get these nice high grades. A low grade coin in the modern issue market is a mint state or a proof 66 or 67, and the discount may not be all that much. Now, back in the 1980s, when I was first subjected to the modern issue market, this material wasn't being graded because the grading companies didn't realize that the marketing was about to explode. But I can tell you that Wall Street looked at the market. And Wall Street, being a little bit more prudent and having a little bit different set of rules, decided not to get into the modern issue market. There were marketing companies. I went to work for one of them. I had already been to work with one, a previous, and I was out interviewing. And so the craze to try to load everybody up and move hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars the hook was there. Ultimately, the reason that most big investors, Wall Street in particular, didn't get involved is that they understood that if there was a limited mintage of coins, whether it's 50 coins or 1,000 or 50,000, all of the coins were going to come out perfect. Now, I might be thinking a little bit ahead for them, but I'm going to say that they're prudent people. And unfortunately, I'm going to tag coin dealers as pretty much specifically minded with blinders. Our job is to make sure that we create a demand, we assist you in fulfilling that demand and taking advantage of the greed. Now, 50 coins is a very low mintage. 10,000 coins sometimes can be a low mintage. what ends up happening, though, is that once you sell the 50 to 1,000 or 10,000 coins, you better find a way to either continue to support the clients or the market will fall. And that's what happens in a lot of cases. We're out creating a market for a market that's already been used up. The reason old coins are so focused on by rare coin funds, by the prudent investor with a lot of money, is that ultimately the wealthy want the most elite items they can get their hands on. And so a coin that dates 100, 120, 30, 40 years ago that's in perfect quality is not going to be found by the bag. Sometimes, okay, because there's exceptions to every rule. There have been a couple of shipwrecks that have been discovered since the 1980s. Two that I'm going to poke a little bit at are the SS Republic and the SS New York. Now, these shipwrecks were more known for the gold than the silver, but silver did survive. And silver, having been, quote, used and pitted in salt water, has got a different effect than gold. So you get grades off of shipwrecked half dollars, and the coins have a bid value somewhere. Oh, if you're talking about New Orleans minted half dollars and some of the San Franciscos, you're talking about coins that are probably going to trade, wholesale maybe 500, up to coins that could be worth well over 1,000, but most of them you can find in the 750 to 800 range. But that's a wide spread. And coins that have been damaged, and yes, they've been authenticated, and yes, all of the caveats are on the coins. The question is whether or not the dealer will shoot you straight. But my concern is that you own material that always maintains its liquidity, and it's at a spread that you don't have to worry about losing everything you've got. Now, over the last, say, 20 years, the advent of the internet and how we access information is really good information. I had a friend of mine call me this morning, and he's looking at a precious stone. And the stone is still in raw condition. It has not been cut and polished. And the customer who owns it got an indication that the stone is worth between $150,000 and $200,000. Well, when you take a 9-carat raw stone and you try to throw a number at it as an emerald, its retail value is less than $10,000 a carat. That automatically cuts it from 150 plus to maximum of 90,000, and we don't know what the net effect of the cut and polish will be. So all I'm telling you is that there's a lot of information, not just on the internet, but stored up in my in between my ears. And consulting with you and being able to help determine the proper way of diversifying, looking at what your goals and objectives are. How have you established your estate? What are the different things that you need to know and do so that you can maximize without being maximized? In other words, how do you know someone's not just going to take a full-blown shot at you? Now, another friend of mine, different part of the country, traveled on Friday and picked up a trade that was worth a little over $400,000. Unfortunately, the person who had made the investment originally paid over $600,000. And in a market that's been rising, the precious metals market, this client's lost money because the company, the advisor, wasn't looking out for the best interest of the customer. They were looking out for their own best interest. Being in business to make a profit doesn't make anybody bad. That's what America was pretty much founded on. Yeah, you get some exceptions like the Rockefellers who own Standard Oil, and there's monopolies and megapolies, but the bottom line is that in today's investment community, it's about preserving your wealth. I don't care what your age is. Nobody wants to pick up the phone or look at their email and find out they lost 30 or 40% of their net worth, period. And so building on a third, a third, and a third. A third of the money that you move into precious metals goes into the bullion markets, the cheap spread material, lowest premium over spot. Then you put a third of it into the semi-rare. Folks, US minted coins are used. They were coins of commerce. But there are those people that had the wealth that were able to put away the nicest dates, the nicest material. Those are the ones that come out, whether it's been in a safety deposit box behind the wall, whether it was your great-great-grandfather who left it and it's been passed down several different times. There's all kinds of different stories for this material. And the bottom line for the different stories is that there's somebody on the other end who wants to get a piece of that. I've had my son Jason each of the last 2 weekends. I had 4 days in the last week. It's more time than I had with my son in 5 months. And for those of you that pray for Jason and I truly do appreciate it. But listening to Disney, the Disney Channel, I got to see an episode where a rare doll was trading hands. And the doll that was traded by an unscrupulous toy dealer took the old, rarer doll for a brand new, worthless bunny doll. And when confronted, came out that the starting bid for this doll was $1,000. There are only 7 of them known to have existed. That's the way the script was written. But a $20 item got traded for $1,000. And that was the opening bid. There wasn't a box, and we didn't get into all the particulars of the story. I mean, it wasn't all part of it. But my point is that we are constantly bombarded with values of different types of assets, whether you collect dolls or toasters or Civil War memorabilia. There's so many different ways to own and collect. In this job market, we've got to be smarter than the governments. We've got to be smarter than the brokers. You've got to find somebody who's willing to sit with you and give you information, educate you, if you will, because it's the education that will matter at the end of the day. Wolves come in sheep's clothing is a scary thing. I've been there. I understand that. People can say anything. And performance sometimes gets inhibited. But what I'm really trying to bring home to you is that there is a vast amount of income and money put away in collectibles. And there's all kinds of collectibles out there. I've tried to hit on some of them, from toasters to dolls to cars to jewelry to diamonds to gems to rare coins, currency. There's just so many areas. And all of us are trying to acquire something that somebody else will want down the road, and it will be more valuable. I want 5 to 20% of your net worth, and I want to diversify that in an area of collectibles and precious metals so that you maintain liquidity regardless of the problem. There's a lot of things in the works, and there's a lot of questions that you should be asking. And frankly, I've been doing this since 2010. I spent a few years on the radio. I do podcasts now. Michael helps with blogs, and so we're posting information all the time. If you need to reach out and you want the information, or you're looking to buy, sell, or trade anything of value, the gold exchange is in the Humble area. You can call me toll free. That's 888-273-8873. When the voice prompt picks you up, hit 0, you'll get a live voice. That's between 10 and 5, Monday through Friday. Now, you can email me. That's anytime. Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. I deal in just about anything that's silver, gold, or platinum. United States minted coins, I'll make a market from wheat pennies that are worth $0.0125 to me, all the way up to coins that trade for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you need some consulting and you want to talk about building sets and finding out who's going to be out there to buy your coins down the road, I want to consult with you. We want to maintain liquidity. It's extremely important. And I'm not telling you the sky is falling and this is a gloom and doom message. I'm telling you that we will go through a cycle. We always go. The U.S. economy goes through cycles. There's going to be higher highs and lower lows, and maybe the silver low isn't going to be all the way down at $3. Maybe it's 10, 15 bucks. That's where JP Morgan got in and bought the short position from Bear Stearns. They've lost tens of millions of dollars, and they make it up one trade at a time, folks. It's the way we all make it. So if you're looking for advice, or you want to consult, or you're looking to buy, sell, or trade anything of value, reach out to me. 281-548-COIN. That's 281-548-2646. You can email me anytime. That's Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. I don't care what you own. We'll consult. And if I'm not the best person to make a market for you, I'll tell you that. Now, understand there's going to be profit generated. I never pay any more than anybody else pays 125% of the value of anything. We don't do that. But we will make a market. I don't care whether it's 10 ounces of gold or 1,000 ounces of gold. These trades happen quickly. The markets are live during the day. They trade into the evening and they go overseas. So there's a live market except Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday at 5 o'clock. Markets open again Central Time. So we can watch the markets and we can advise you and guide you, and we can tell you when to buy or when to sell. You just got to make sure that you're owning material that fits the goal and objective that you've established. Thank you. I appreciate you listening to all that. Anyway, I never get off a podcast without thanking Texas Children's Hospital, both the Downs Clinic, that's the Meyer Center, and the Ronald McDonald House. Now, this is an organization that is very near and dear to my heart. My son Jason has very mild Downs, but he's a Downs child. And more joy and more love and more happiness than I can't even describe. Dr. Ostermeyer and her staff work with kids ranging from spina bifida to autism to Downs, pretty much any type of a disability. And at the Ronald McDonald House inside of Texas Children's, it's on the 4th floor. There are 20 rooms to take care of the families that sit bedside with their kids through the day and night. I know it oh too well. I spent 3.5 weeks down in PICU and dealt with a lot of folks, and the people at the Ronald McDonald House really do matter and they do care. If you can provide a hot meal, please call 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. Nancy Allen and her staff would be more than happy to help accommodate you bringing in hot meals. Like I said, they'll tell you what the need is on any given night. If you go to themeltdown.com, please click on the donation banners. Your information is anonymous for me. The amount of money you would donate, that's also anonymous, but please mention themeltdown.com. There are other charities that I love and that are near and dear to my heart, but this is where most of my commitment is. Folks, I appreciate all the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and of course the volunteers at Texas Children throughout the medical center and all around the world, because the kids need us and we love them. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Appreciate you listening in. Jason, your daddy loves you and misses you, son. I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day and God bless you.